Welcome to Ease in Real Life, the podcast where we embrace joy, authenticity, and peace through all of life's ups and downs. I'm your host, Kijana, and each week we'll explore practical tools, real stories, and meaningful conversations to help you create a life that feels lighter and more aligned. Hello. Hi. How are you? I'm back on the podcast format. I'm really excited to be here. It's been a minute. It has been a minute, but welcome. Welcome to my new podcast, Ease in Real Life. For those of you who don't know, I'm Kijana Rose, and I'm so excited to be on this journey with you. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for listening. Let's get into it. So, let's see where to begin. First of all, let's begin with Ease in Real Life. I have been wanting to bring back this format of creating for a long time. I've always loved podcasting. For those of you who listened when I was doing As the Garden Grows with my dear friend Ryan, thank you for listening. And I kind of wanted to pick it up today a little bit where we left off, because I think in doing that, it lets you all know kind of why I've decided to come back again and start again with this format and yeah, like catch you up on life since we last spoke like this. So as the garden grows, that was a podcast that we did for I Rose Garden, and it was really meant to document our journey in licensing, which is still a journey. Um, if you know, you know. Uh, I believe I don't even really remember, but I believe our last episode was probably sometime in late 2022. Um, what I remember is that we had kind of gotten through some major hurdles with licensing. We were probably a couple months short of completing our product manufacturing license, fully operational. I have my little notes here, by the way, so I will be looking at them from time to time. So yeah, so we ended As the Garden Grows, and I know it felt abrupt. I know we didn't really kind of make an announcement or anything like that. Regarding that, what had happened was that we were getting caught up in trying to be product manufacturers. We were getting there. And it was clear that even though I loved that project so much, and it was so cathartic for me, honestly, because you guys know that process was and is still hell. Um, and having that outlet was really like so beautiful, and it was so funny. We had a lot of fun. But it didn't feel like it was progressing the mission of the garden. If anything, it felt like it was maybe distracting us from this other work at hand that we now really needed to turn to and dive into and be present for. And so we made that kind of difficult decision to stop recording. And again, it was abrupt. I don't even know if we had like an announcement or anything like that. I really don't. I'm sure a lot of you also, like people that are listening to these first episodes, know that, for a lot of years, I really wasn't, by my choice, super involved with like the social media and things like that. It's not my strong point. It's something I'm learning now and I want to get better at for the sake of this podcast. Um, TV timeout. I have a roommate. His name is Grits. Sometimes I have to redirect him, and this is the moment where I do that. So, anyways, and he might join us. I don't know. He's welcome to join us, but he's not welcome to destroy my setup. I hope you can hear me now. Um, so yeah, so it changed. We had to change courses. We had to redirect our focus to getting our product manufacturing license fully operational, and we did. On a personal side, at that very same time, I was essentially homeless. I left my mom's house where I had been living since 2017, I believe, pretty much since I started the business. Um, and it was long overdue. It was long overdue. I was 32 at that time. I had been wanting to go. The environment was not good for me, and I needed to go. And I did, but I didn't leave with a plan. And I didn't really fully leave on my own timing. So take that however you will. But I didn't have a plan. The plan was honestly to just couch surf with friends until I could find a place. But, um, sidebar, I had no money because I hadn't made money in about 2 years. I had done, I think, a hostessing job at Mystique for a little while, but culturally I couldn't stay. And for so many reasons, I couldn't stay. Although I tried, shout out to the Mystique crew because I still love a lot of you. Um, but yeah, I hadn't really worked, in 2 years. Well, in 5 years, but for someone in 5 years. But I had been working for myself and making a great amount of money before 2020. But when we decided to go for licensing, that had all stopped. I had to do things differently because I couldn't risk the license that we were going for. So I hadn't made money in 2 years and I needed to get an apartment. And getting an apartment with no money is very hard. But I was very lucky to have people to stay with, people like Ryan, people like my friend Jay Lee. I think I'll probably do at some point a whole episode on what it was like to stay with my friend Jay Lee. Um, Shout out to you, Jay. I love you and your family so much. Sorry. Ryan's house was also a home for me. Shout out to Ryan. It was like, and Ryan, I love you. I call it Ryan's garage. Ryan had like the most amazing loft apartment right in Rosendale. The floor where I was sleeping on was absolutely freezing cold. It was the middle of the winter. Um, and so, yeah, I really bundled up and I stayed with friends. And again, I'm so grateful that I had that. I stay with Sarah sometimes. I'm so grateful that I had them to lean on during that time. I ended up finding an apartment in, I found the apartment in March, but I didn't move in until June. So I stayed with Ryan for about 6 months, between Ryan, Jaylee, Sarah, but really mostly Ryan. And I don't even think I ever realized that until I just said it just now. So again, Ryan, shout out to you. I love you so much and can't even put it into words. But yeah, so same time, I got a job. I had to, obviously, because the bill comes due and rent was going to. I started working overnights at Wegmans. And honestly, I actually loved that job. I loved that job so much. I was stocking groceries. First of all, my body's never looked better. Let me just start there. The body was tea, okay? Those 40-pound rice bags? Oh my God. It was like a workout. Like, fast forward to when I quit, I'll go back. But one of the ladies said, she's like, you're gonna miss the exercise. And I did. And I do. Okay. I loved Wegmans. I loved Wegmans. I loved the people that worked there. Loki high key. Wegmans is a good company. They actually treat their employees really well. So shop at Wegmans. Shout out to Wegmans. They got a lot of vegan shit there that I love. So yeah, shout out to them all around. Um, but yeah, I was doing my overnights at Wegmans. I got my new apartment. I moved in here in June. We're in my new apartment right now. That's where my little podcast studio is. I call it my treehouse, my sanctuary. I love it here very, very much. Um, and that was a really great moment for me personally to finally have my own space and to feel like I had my own space. On the business side of things, we were struggling in every single way. We were struggling in every single way. We had a really hard time getting our cookies in stores. So, like, a couple things happened. One, the week after we got to market, someone else came to market with essentially the same exact product as us. And it's someone that, like, I thought was a friend. Like, if you guys have been in my yoga community for many years, you've met this person. This person taught classes in my home. Yeah, I just, someone that I just always thought we were cool. And then they literally like brought a product to market, the same exact product. And it just didn't need to happen like that because I have over 100 recipes that I could have gone to market with. And I would have not picked that one if I knew that person was going to do that. But they did. And you know what? That's okay. That created a competition that I wasn't anticipating. But it wasn't even that competitive because our dosing was different enough that we were able to get on some really great shelves in some great dispensaries. And I will always forever love and appreciate the dispensaries, especially the ones that they first kind of either reached out to us or responded to our call and supported us. Most of them were either Black owned or had Black management. But other than that, it was really hard to get on shelves. I mean, there were people that I would have expected would have put us on their shelves just because like we knew each other through network and stuff like that, but didn't. And that was hard. That was really hard dealing with that rejection right out front. A lot of what we were hearing was like, oh, cookies, they don't do well on the market and things like that. And we really believed in the product. Like, and those of you who know, like, cookies are amazing. But we had to overcome that hurdle of getting even just a baked good out there. And then once we did, and we started to turn the corner in terms of getting the product on shelves, um, we were having a hard time getting paid. Our payment terms were cash on delivery. I think one time we actually got that. So yeah, it was really hard. We were trying to operate like a bakery, but really we were a cannabis manufacturer. And cannabis manufacturing is hard. I mean, hopefully one day I will get to sit down with Ange and we can go into it. But like some of the things that we sometimes asked ourselves were like, how are other products manufacturers even like surviving? Like how are they even hitting a bottom line? I mean, you really have to pay to play in the industry. And we learned that really quick and we couldn't afford it. We just couldn't afford it. We weren't one of these manufacturers that could send out a ton of samples or anything like that. So yeah, we struggled a lot. We struggled a lot. And I mean, it was hard. It was also hard because by that point, by the time we had gotten to operational with the product manufacturing, most of the team was dispersed. I mean, people had to find full-time jobs to support themselves, to support their families, which I totally understood. Obviously, I had to, in a way, get a job too. Um, and so and also manufacturing required a level of expertise that like really only I had. So I was the one, for better or worse, that was really responsible for making all the product and preparing all the orders. Um, it usually looked like I'd be in the store, 22 Birch Street, baking, getting out orders for anywhere between, 20 to 40 hours a week. And then I'd be at Wegmans overnights, you know, 30 to 40 hours a week. So that was a lot. That was a lot on me. Um, and yeah, it was a tough kind of burden to carry. Um, and I remember feeling like, okay, this is part of it and we're gonna keep going and these are the struggles and this is what you kind of go through. Um, and I was okay with that. I was okay to keep pushing through. And I think anybody who knows me knows that I'm usually kind of okay with that. I can usually push through a hard time. I think a mentor of mine just said this to me the other day. Like he was like, "You're a survivor," and I don't even like that because I want to live life. I don't just want to survive. But yeah, like I'll push through. You know what I mean? It takes a lot to really break me down. But then the craziest thing that has ever happened in my life happened, and that was that I got pregnant. And you know, you can't make it up, and I couldn't have wrote it a different way. Um, when I got pregnant, I and my partner, um, Jamie hates that word. I just know she's gonna think, yeah, why'd you use the word partner? Mind your business. Um, my person at the time, immediately, even though it was unexpected, it was unplanned, and it was not obviously what I was shooting for. um, we were adults, and immediately we were like, okay, we're having a baby, and we were excited, and something changed in me in that moment. Honestly, in a way that I wasn't expecting either. I could have never expected. But when I got pregnant, I realized how much I wanted to be a mom and how much I want to be a mom. Um, yeah, we'll talk about it another day. Don't worry, we've got a whole podcast now, guys. But, family is something that I is really important to me, and having my own is really important to me. And yeah, I realized that in that moment. Um, but fast forward about 10 weeks exactly, and I began to miscarry. And it was really devastating. It was really devastating for a lot of reasons. For other, people who have gone through it, or who have, family friends who have gone through it, it's a tragic moment. Um, it was especially hard because, the nurses at the hospital, well, let me back up actually. So, well, let me figure out exactly how I want to say this. So, when you're pregnant, you don't get your period, right? Um, Obviously, if you do, something is wrong. That's what happened with me, and I knew something was wrong. I couldn't, from the time that started, I couldn't get an appointment with a doctor for 2 days. So I waited the 2 days and I went to the doctor, and they couldn't get a heartbeat. But yeah, it was past the point. Like, we knew that if they couldn't, there wasn't. But they didn't want to say that. And I don't know why. I really don't know why why I don't know why they wouldn't tell me what was going on, but obviously, unfortunately, I'm not an idiot and knew. Um, so when I left the hospital, um, from finding out that, I I was devastated, um, and struggling in a lot of ways, but committed to pushing through. And I called Ange. Ange is our CFO, by the way, was our CFO. And I asked her if she could give me a little budget, because we had actually just gotten an order in from a dispensary that had multiple locations. And I was really excited about this order. I was like, this is going to be a game changer for us. Um, and again, couldn't make this up. When I called Ange and asked her to give me a budget for the order, because I was actually just going to go directly to the store in the state that I was in and start preparing that order, um, she had informed me that that very morning we had gotten a lien put on our bank account. And that lien essentially wiped out all the money that we had in our bank account. That lien was a result of back taxes that were under my name, that were put there because of a grant that we had received from the city of Boston. When you get grants, by the way, something I learned the hard way, but you need to put half of it away for taxes, because that's how much you get charged back in taxes. A little life lesson for you. So yeah, she said we had a lien on our account. We didn't have any money. I couldn't get a budget to buy groceries, to buy ingredients for the order. Um, and I think the very next thing I said to her was, yeah, we probably need to sell. We probably can't go on like this. And she said, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. And I think it was that moment. I don't think either of us expected the other to say it, but like wanted it. And it was like, in that moment, I felt like okay, I gotta, I gotta, I gotta pivot. um, I have to redirect myself. This isn't working. In fact, this is dying and it feels dead, um, in many ways. And so, how do I bring life back in, kind of thing? And I knew in that moment, I knew a lot of things. I knew like, mm, bakery, not going to work out. This isn't working out. The Massachusetts market is not responding to my product in a way that shows that an entire business model based off of it, an entire retail front based off of it could be successful. Um, I knew that I didn't have the expertise or the capacity to operate a full retail store by myself. I knew that my team didn't have that capacity either. And yeah, I knew that yeah, we just needed help. We needed a lot of help, a lot of help. We needed financial help, we needed operational help. Um, I needed psychological help, which I did get. Shout out to therapy. Woo, been in it. Thank God. Thank God for therapy, honestly, because after that, again, I was in it. But okay, let me just like keep going with the story. So decided to sell. Funny thing, when you have an equity license in the city of Boston, you can't sell it. You have to maintain 51% ownership of your license. That was a journey too. And I think some of this stuff, maybe I'll go into at a later time. It's kind of hard to talk about right now because, again, for a lot of you guys who know and who still like really follow along, we're kind of in some stuff right now with licensing. And so that part has been really difficult. But some things that I will say are that when we decided that we wanted to sell, and we'll say sell equity in the company rather than just sell the license because that's the best way to understand it right now. Um, we started talking to some brokers. Some of them were, um, and they charged really high fees, and we were like, we don't want to go that route. But one of them who had been introduced to me through someone that, is really well, like I really trust. Um, one of them like really kind of sat me down and started really explaining things to me. And what I found out was that a lot of things that I didn't realize. One was that because I had a provisional license and not an operational retail license, well, I had two licenses. The product manufacturing license, which was fully operational, had no value. Nobody wanted it. And I understood why, because product manufacturing in this cannabis industry, it's not a lucrative business. And I still don't see how product manufacturers generate a profit. And I don't know that they do. I don't know that any cannabis business does in Massachusetts, quite frankly. Um, from what I know, some of the biggest ones generate lots of revenue, but don't turn a profit. So yeah, I don't know. But I did learn very quickly that product manufacturing probably not worth a thing. The retail license might be worth something, but not much is what I got. And it was because it was considered a depressed license because it was still provisional. And also we have a really small space and, all these other things. So, yeah, so this one broker, again, has to be the best broker I've ever spoken to, just in terms of kindness and humanity. Like, really, you know, I always appreciated our conversations, but he basically just started saying to me, listen, you need to get ready to tell your friends and your family and whoever else invested in this company that this is done. This is done. You're not getting the money back. It's over. It's a done deal, and that happens sometimes and you just got to be okay with it. He said, you're going to have to move on with your life. And I was like, I can't. I can't. I can't. I've got my investors that are my friends, people that honestly I consider my family. And then we did a main vest campaign, 155 people. Again, people on there that I consider family. Some of you guys are like my closest friends and my biggest supporters through the years. I couldn't bring myself, still to this day, I really can't imagine letting the people that lifted me up down in such a way. And I know it's just money, but it has to do with my integrity and trust. So that was really hard. It was really, really, really hard to have those conversations. And honestly, guys, it all was just so dark. Now we're in December of 2023, and it's real dark here. It's real dark here. And I remember right at the end of December, I'm doing my little, journaling and my intentions for the new year and my goals, and I'm like, it's hard to see the light because I can't think of anything until I have a buyer, I have investors in this. Um, and I just sat there and I was like, on December 31st, I was like, you know what? I'm done struggling. This is I'm choosing this. Why am I in this? Like, I'm smart. I went to Northeastern. I went to Boston Latin School. And I'm creative and I'm actually good at a few things, okay? Like I shouldn't be, I was on food stamps. I was struggling to pay my rent month to month. Like it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. And I remembered that I had done this reading one time with Donna Kiefer Astrology. Shout out to her, especially for past life reading. Hit her up. But I remember she said to me, she said, "Do you feel like you've struggled a lot in your life?" And I was like, "Yes." And she was like, "That's so sad because your life is meant to be easy." And I was like, "What? When? Where? How? Why? Like, what the hell happened? Are we on the right timeline?" But that came into my head that night. And I was like, yeah, easy. That's what my life is meant to be. My life is meant to be easy. And right now it's too hard. It's too hard. And I don't want it anymore. I don't want it anymore. I don't want it like this. I don't want to struggle anymore. I'm done with struggling. I'm done with struggling. It's time for me to just surrender and choose ease. And, in a lot of ways, it's harder than it sounds. And that's what we're going to talk about here on this podcast. That's a lot of what we're going to be talking about on this podcast. Um, but that was the moment for me. And that was the moment that ultimately inspired this podcast. Um, and I'm going to wrap this up now because, again, we've got all the time in the world. We don't have to rush it. But I will say that, like, what then transpired was that January, like maybe not January 1st, but first week of January 2024. Um, honestly, I didn't have one offer. I had had a lot of conversations, but it had been 3 months that I'd been trying to solicit, and I really had nothing. Um, and so I reached out to someone who I despise, but who I knew would be interested. And in doing that, that person did make an offer, a low ball offer, a quarter of what I was asking for, which was already very low. And I said no, but it was a catalyst. It brought in other offers. And January went on, I started to get offers, and I it was the end of January, and I was like, I'm going to make a decision by February 1st. I'm going to have to choose one of these shitty offers and just figure it the fuck out. And no, because the universe has a plan and my life's meant to be easy. I literally, like, it had to be January 30th. And I got a call from one of the first brokers that I ever spoke to, which he kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies, but he was like, "Is your retail license still available?" And I was like, "Barely. I am making a decision on this Friday. So if you've got an interested party, they need to come quick." And we talked that day. And I remember when I spoke with them for the first time, like, I knew immediately that they were the ones. um, Immediately. Like as soon as they even just started talking, the vibe was, yeah, you just know. And also because, again, it wasn't like a situation where I was just selling and walking away. This is a situation where I'm selling a lot of equity in my company, but I'm still a part of the company. Um, so I knew we had to vibe. And yeah, it was a really beautiful situation. It's still a really beautiful situation. Yeah, I like it was a miracle. It really was. It was the exact offer that I wanted. It was from people that I knew had the retail operational experience that I needed. Um, yeah, and most importantly, it was going to set the company up to be successful. It is going to set the company up to be successful. And so that was it. A couple days later, I think I ended up waiting until like the following Monday, but yeah. And then a lot of other things happened. To actually sign the PSA took us 4 months almost, and so many things. But those are my guys. I'm super, super grateful for them. We've been now working together for almost a year, over a year. And yeah, I really, really, really couldn't be happier. I couldn't be more grateful for them. So yeah, that's just like a little catch up, guys. That's a catch up. Um, since then, in this last year, because ease was my word of the year for 2024, and it was like everything I was doing, I was like, how can I make this easy? How can I find ease in this moment? How can I let myself kind of like off in this moment? Not make it hard on myself, not struggle in a situation. Um, and I did a lot. I did a lot of that. And you know what I found? I found in the end of that, and now a much more authentic version of myself and a much happier version of myself and a much calmer version of myself. And I'm still growing and I'm still learning and I'm still finding ease. Finding ease, the funny thing about it in your life, creating ease, finding ease in real life, it's actually quite a bit of work. It's a lifestyle, and that's what I've realized. It's something to be committed to, but it's beautiful, and I think it's a way that I know I'm meant to live. Um, I hope that you guys will find some tools and some tricks within these conversations, or maybe just like some inspiration or a laugh or just like hearing my mess can sometimes like relieve you from your own. Whatever it is. The point is that like I'm so excited to be back. I'm so excited to have a platform to have conversation with you, but I also want to be in dialogue with you. I also want to have interactive conversation. I want to know what tools and tricks you're finding or what's working for you. I want to know what's going on with you. I want to know anything you want me to know, actually. Maybe you want to come and have a conversation with me. I got a chair. I got a chair. I could have a guest. We will be having guests. Um, so yeah, I really hope that this is like the first of, many conversations that we have. And I'm just really excited. I'm really excited to, like I said, just to be back in this arena, but to be interfacing with you again, to show my face. I know it's been literally years. um, but it feels good. It feels really, really good to be in a place where I can say, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Not because everything is so simple, but because I'm allowing my life to be easy. I'm really choosing ease over struggle every time. And that has just continued to lead me in a beautiful direction. So that's all I got for you today. I feel like I've been talking for a long time. I guess before we close out, I did want to talk about a little astrology. I know I used to talk about it all the time on As the Garden Grows. And I kind of thought about it like I'll save my little astrology bits for the end of this of our time together because I know it's not everybody's bag. But for me, it really guides me. It really does. It really offers me like sometimes a little bit and sometimes a lot of insight into a moment in time. And in this very moment in time, as this podcast debuts for the first time, we are in a new moon in Pisces. And I don't know if you know this, but I'm a Pisces rising. So this new moon is right in my first house. And Pisces new moon is like an opportunity to really connect with the deepest kind of waters of your emotions and yeah, like all of your feelings and sensitivities. And what's interesting about these Pisces new moons last year, this year, the year before, is that we've got Saturn there. And this is probably, I think, the furthest away Saturn has been within these Pisces new moons in the last couple of years, but still there, still present, still active, and still reminding us that our emotions are part of our responsibility in this world. Our emotional body, our emotional selves are a part of this journey, just as much as our physical bodies and our physical selves. And as we renew in this moment, I hope that we all find space to just kind of reconnect with that inner part of us because that's where a lot of our magic lies. That's where a lot of our inner magic lies, right in our emotions. So much information is there. And, new moons are a time to manifest for a new cycle. And one thing that I've really been thinking about in this last couple weeks, just especially because of all the things that are going on with the garden and licensing and things like that, is like how healing empathy is, how healing it is to be able to look at another person and either recognize and resonate with what they're going through, or be recognized and resonated with as a human. And I will always believe that we are here to take care of each other. I will always believe that. Um, and I hope that in this Pisces new moon, we find some inspiration of how we can continue to take care of each other. Because this is our world. We share this place with each other. And when you do good, I do great, and vice versa. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Please come back. Next week, we've got an interview with my great friend, Sarah Robertson. We're going to be talking about ease and laughter. And she is a comedian, so it's going to be great. And yeah, we'll be dropping episodes every Friday. And that's it for today. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Be good. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Ease in Real Life. If you enjoyed today's conversation, don't forget to subscribe. Please leave a review or share it with a friend who might need a little more ease in their life. Remember, creating ease is a choice we make every day, even in the hard moments. I'll chat with you next time, and until then, take care of yourself and each other.